Hi, Jessica here. Welcome back to MyTransgenderNation. Today, I'm going to go over with you my top 7 tips for passing. And this can, for some people, be a controversial issue. And I'm going to throw my disclaimer out right here in front. I'm not telling you what to do. I am not saying that these tips are for everyone. Some will say, oh, I can do that, or I want to do that. You do whatever you want, whatever makes you feel good. I'm just suggesting, and I think this is more for people who are first getting started, who really worry about passing more than somebody who's been full-time for a long time also. So, if you're newer to it, you have dysphoria and you're worried about passing, I think this is more for you. So, with my disclaimer said, let's get started. Okay. The first one I'm going to talk about is shoes. Shoes. First of all, I have big feet. And a lot of us who start later in life, we've got big feet. It's how God made us, unfortunately. Some of the people who get lucky enough to start much earlier in life, they have the ability to sort of squash what nature would do, and so their feet don't grow as much. But for me, I went through full grown man before I finally got smart enough to figure out to make this change. And so I have like size 12 feet in women's sizes, which really sucks. So there are a few things I do to help me pass with my choices for shoes. I tend to go for lower heels or no heels. And part of that is because I'm 6 foot tall. And trust me, I love the idea of a high heel. But if I want to pass, being 6 foot and then putting on a 3-inch heel, all I'm doing is, I'm drawing attention to myself. So that's not the best idea. The other thing that I do is I try to pay attention to the way the shoes are made. And I try to go for ones that make my feet look leaner. Some shoe styles, they're very boxy or are big and round and fat in the front. And those have a tendency to make your feet look bigger. So pay attention to the style that you choose for shoes. All right, enough about shoes. Let's go on to the rest of what you wear, your wardrobe. So if you're trying to pass, one of the things you want to try and not do is draw attention to yourself. And especially for somebody who's just getting started, I know what you want to do. You want to dress like a 16-year-old girl. You want to put on those really short skirts and the really low blouses and make yourself feel super, super feminine. And you can do that. Hats off to you if that's what you do. But again, if you are trying to pass, that's probably not the best way to do it. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to go full-blown conservative, 65-year-old woman type of dress, but what I am saying is that there's ways to dress to draw less attention to yourself without sacrificing looking feminine. So look at yourself before you go out, Also, there are so many places you can go and see styles that are current and stuff, and try to make choices that are more in line with maybe closer to your age, but at least not something that's not going to draw attention to yourself. Voice. I don't have the best voice. Matter of fact, I paid for surgery for my voice, but it's still not great. But I do pay attention to how I speak. Women have a tendency to be enunciate a lot more than men do, for one thing. They don't. They speak softer. So you can pay attention with your voice. If you have a deep voice, and there's plenty of online resources for teaching you to sound more feminine. But so I'm just going to categorize and say, pay attention to your voice. It makes a big difference. To this day, I get on the phone sitting at my desk and I get misgendered all the time. And then if I stop and think about how I am speaking, in the same pitch level, I can speak a little differently and I don't get misgendered. So it's all about how you speak. So pay attention to your voice. It's a big thing. Let's talk about makeup. Makeup is important. Again, especially for somebody starting out, the tendency is to wear all this makeup. You didn't get to do it when you were a guy. Now you can put on makeup. Less is more, girls. You don't need a lot of makeup, but it's important to wear makeup. Even if you just go into the store, you could just throw on a little mascara and a little bit of lipstick. It goes a long way. So if you don't know how to do makeup, there are huge amounts of resources online on YouTube that you can watch to learn how to do makeup. So do your makeup. Just don't overdo your makeup. Pay attention to it. Hair. Same as could be said for hair. If you have to wear a wig, rather than having 10 wigs that are all crappy, spend some money and get a good wig. And look at yourself in the mirror with that wig on. I see so many women online on like Facebook posts and everything else, and I just scratch my head and say, do they see themselves? I don't think they pay close enough attention. Yes, you need to wear a wig, but pay attention to how it sits on your head. Pay attention to how it looks. Spend the money to get a good wig instead of buying 5 or 10 crappy wigs just so you can change your hair. It makes a huge difference. And if you get to use your own hair, great. Pay attention to how it's cut. Pay attention to keeping it clean. Pay attention to keeping it looking nice. It makes a big difference when you're trying to pass. Hygiene. Hygiene is a big one. It makes a big difference for you to pay attention to body hair. That's a sure sign that that you're not passing if you're not paying attention to things like that. Keeping all your parts clean and smelling good is another big key. People have a tendency sometimes, especially when they're having dysphoria, not to do that. You go out in public, you're going to give yourself away in a heartbeat. You don't pay attention to that. So take care of your hygiene. It's hugely important if you're trying to pass. And along the same lines, when you're going to wear perfume, less is more. Get a good fragrance, that's great, but don't put tons of it on. You don't need tons of it. You just need a little bit. Be very conservative with that. You go stinking up the joint, you're drawing attention to yourself, and that is a surefire way of getting clocked and not passing. And as we said with the body hair, so those are my tips. We talked about shoes, we talked about body hair and facial hair, we talked about the wardrobe, we talked about voice, we talked about makeup, and we talked about hygiene. All right, those are my tips for how to pass. Like I said, these tips aren't for everybody, and it's just an idea, suggestions to help you, especially if you're just getting started and you want to try and pass. The last thing I'll say about this is passing isn't everything. Who you need to please is not everyone else. Who you need to please is you. And the best way to please yourself is to feel good about yourself. You take care of yourself, you're going to feel a lot better about yourself. If somebody clocks you, who gives a fart? It's not about them. This is about you. So enjoy your transition. Take pride in what you're doing. Don't freak out if you don't pass. But keep these ideas in mind if you are trying to pass. I'm hoping that it'll help you. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any suggestions, please send us a message and give us some ideas on what you'd like to see future videos talk about. I'm always open to suggestions. Also, I am looking to do more interviews. I've done a lot of interviews. I am looking for people who have a story to tell and would like to tell it that has to do with our transgender community. If you have one and you would like to share it, please reach out to us and we can talk about it. Okay, I hope you have a great day. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for your time.